Hello, my name is Alvaro, and I'm going to present the listening skill that I have right now. Very interesting. I found a lot of very important information, especially how we assimilate and how can we teach students. McDowell and Shaw, 1983, they talk about certain characteristics with multiple skills, especially reading and listening. They have very similar skills. They're talking about the input, how is important to be situational competent when you read and when you listen. When we listen for purposes, that is super important, that we have to be aware of the interferences, the different sounds that might sound similar to something we know, the idea of playing the roles that is very important, and finally that the both are supported by visual elements. The 5 points of listening carried by Mary Underwood, 1998. I love them. First of all, it says that we listen because we want to be socially engaged. We listen because we need to exchange information with people. We need to understand what they're saying and what we can give them as an input. We listen because we need to have a control. We need to manifest control. We listen because we have feelings. And finally, we listen because we enjoy listening to stuff, music, videos, etc. Now we have differences, similarities, and differences. One of the most interesting similarities is that they're both coming from languages, linguistic rules. They have a common ground. They are entitled with writing ideas. Both are active because they anticipate, we check, we interpret, we organize, and also because both of them require planning. The differences are basically in the communicative approach because the communicative medium, which is listening, is more dynamic, and reading it's less dynamic a little bit than reading. They say the production factors in the speech also are different because we speak different. The way we speak to the way we listen, there are different words, similar and different sounds, but phonetically there might be changing. They're transactional. For example, the one-to-one, which is a conversation, or the reading is transactional because one-to-one, whereas the listening is interactional because we can speak to several people. And finally, they say that speaking is less complex than writing because writing interprets a better, higher levels of the language. This is by Schwann, 1993. Finally, Richards talks about the production factors because he talks about clauses, the use of clauses, how we reduce forms, how we use grammar, pause, error, delivery, how we rhythm, how we stress, and how we use different cohesive devices. Therefore, first, later, then, however, etc. They're expressed differently. Also, the processing changes. The sound and the meaning is different. The interpretation of the listening is different. And also, when we're trying to interpret it, it says here, then we go to our the first time we listen to something, we go to syntax. And if the syntax of the rules or the syntax is important, we get it, even though it's very likely to disappear. The real knowledge of this information is what we're going to have. And that's what we have the scheme theory by Barley, 1982, 1932, sorry, and it talks about cognitive frames as Minsky, 1976, talks about it. And I love it because these cognitive frames are the ones that we're supposed to be teaching to the students at any level. It doesn't matter. Participation, where McGregor says 1995, we have different parts of participation in the listening: participant, addressee, auditor, overheated, and then we have the speak act theory that we're going to talk about later. We need to talk about listening. Reachers again talks about the goals because we have a purpose. We have an input that we talk about. We have preferences, and the idea of the listening has to be with genuine. How authentic is the listening? Therefore, Underwood, 1989, says live listening, how we use the real listening, and how we understand the English as a language, lengua franca, for English. It recommends simplification, and then finally, how we can integrate the listening, the speaking, the writing, also maybe in one simple activity. Thank you. Hello, it's me again, Alvaro Zúñiga, and I'm going to talk about the fact that how would I give this class in 1 hour? So this is a listening class. First of all, I think it's very important to work on the pre-listening for 15 minutes again, And basically what I would do is to use 5 minutes to talk about the pictures. Obviously we have the colors right here, and we can use these colors that we have on the answer sheet, or the handout. We can also use, if we're working online, we can use other palettes, other forms, so we can present a variety of colors. And maybe that can be a very, very good startup about using different colors at the same time. Obviously, the ones that we're looking for are these examples, these 2, 6, 8 colors that we have here on the first answer sheet. But if this is a live class, maybe have a presentation. Then I think it would be interesting to use 10 minutes using the colors to ask students to create lists of objects of previous vocabulary that they know, especially clothing, especially food, or items, or different things that they can relate to colors. And I think will be very good that they can use those colors, and if they know their names, maybe write them next to them. Will be very, very interesting. Obviously, then we can start using some kind of labeling and predicting what can the listening be in the next 25 minutes or 30 minutes, because we're going to work on the listening. All right, so let's go to the listening. First of all, we have a very small listening according to the Oreo, 3 minutes. So these could work into, while listening, make marking items for the first listening. I'm planning to give this 3 times. So in the first listening, they can start doing the spelling of each of the words, and perhaps marking the letters of each of the words. So that would take it 5 minutes. And then after they have these sort of like a draft listening, we can use 10 more minutes working deeper into the activity. For example, trying other colors, the previous colors, maybe using a spelling of other colors before using the second listening. And again, drawing these objects next to, and I'm talking about drawing objects now that they know next to these specific answer sheet. Okay, now since we have a 2 answer sheet exercise, I would use first one page and then the next page. So this predicting of the exercise doesn't allow students to spoil the next part of the exercise. So on the next part of the exercise, we can use another 5 minutes to play this 3 minutes listening record or track. And I think that will be the best way to do it, because they will have been, by then, the students will be exposed 3 times to the listening. Although it's a very simple listening, I believe it would work better. So now we have a final listening. They can do this list completion while they're doing, of course, teachers monitors and checks if there is any problems by spelling. Finally, in the post listening activity, we can work on this discussion that we have here. What's your favorite color? What do you like, or which color do you like? These can open these answering prompts to establish the mood of the speaker. And I would use the final minutes of this class to extend notes into writing responses. And in this case, I would ask the students to perhaps write sentences related to the previous objects, maybe again using the vocabulary that we have, maybe using this listening, and of course all the notes that we worked during the class. The basic idea is not just to have one skill, but to integrate the listening with the speaking in the consolidation, and of course the writing. Thank you.